have questions. I have questions. I have questions.
Okay, I'm a white person, so I'll take a crack at it.
I was originally gonna get white people to ask, um, but I don't really know any.
I would be disappointed, but for that I would have to be surprised.
Why do white people hate immigrants when you guys immigrated here from Europe? When are you gonna go back home?
I didn't immigrate here from Europe, and I don't hate immigrants. I was born here, and probably you were too. Asking me when I'm going to go back to Europe is kind of like asking you when you're going to go back to Africa.
Why don't all white men apologize for mass shooters and serial killers? You know, like 80% of them are white males, right?
That's not actually true. According to CNN, 64% of mass shooters are white males, whereas over the past century, about 51% of serial killers have been white males. According to the Scientific American, 20% of all serial killers are African American. It's actually a lot more nuanced. I'll leave links in the description, but at the end of the day, nobody should have to apologize for something that somebody else did. Just because one person did something awful doesn't mean everybody of every demographic that that person belongs to is responsible for the same crime.
Why do white people wear cargo shorts with puffy jackets in the winter? Are you guys hot or are you cold? It's very confusing. It makes no sense.
I have literally never ever met anybody who ever did this. Closest I've ever met is one of my old supervisor's grandsons, who wore shorts all the time, even in cold weather, but as far as I know, he was just always hot blooded.
Why don't white people season their food?
Clearly, you have never had any cooking by a white person because I don't know about you, but my spice cabinet is full. I have chili powder, rosemary, tarragon, sage, cilantro, you name it, I have it. And we've always had it, even when I was a little kid, because I've always loved experimenting with spices and herbs. So I don't know where you're getting your information from, but you're clearly wrong.
Why do white people believe that structural and institutionalized racism doesn't exist? You guys know these concepts have been proven, right?
As Teal Deer would say, citation needed, because as far as I know, there are still disparities within, say, the justice system in terms of, punishments dealt out to white people and black people, but there isn't any evidence, as far as I've seen, as to how many people either confirm or deny it.
What is reverse racism?
There's no such thing as reverse racism. It's just racism, regardless of who's doing it.
Why do white people think mayo is a slur?
Googling the definition of the word slur, it's a term designed to insult others on the basis of race, ethnicity, or nationality. And since mayo has often been used to insult white people on the basis of their ethnicity, technically it is a slur.
Why are white people always threatening to kill their parents and then, like, actually going through with it?
Citation needed.
Why don't white people have rhythm? Like, can you not hear the beat? It's very strange, very confusing.
You should probably ask that question to any white musician.
Why do white people get so angry when others point out white privilege? I mean, you guys do have a 300-year head start on everyone else. Just saying.
Probably because white privilege doesn't exist. 300 years head start does not exist when you come from a line of bootleggers and alcoholics.
Why aren't white people called welfare queens? You guys know you're the main recipients of welfare, right?
You're wrong again. 39% of welfare recipients are black, whereas 38% of welfare recipients are white. And considering that black people are only about 13% of the overall population of the United States, there's a disparate amount of black people who are on welfare. For every one white family that's on welfare, there are 7 black families on welfare.
Why do white people think affirmative action is racist? The number one beneficiaries of affirmative action are white women.
Because affirmative action judges people based on their gender or race rather than their merit. That's why.
Why do white people want to say the N word so bad?
I don't, but since so many black people use the N word, maybe it makes other people want to use it too. Ever think of that?
Why do white people keep saying they're losing the country? If you're losing, who's winning?
I've only ever heard that from Christians, and that's because they're losing their monopoly on religion here in the United States. Other than that, I think we're all losing this country to social justice nut jobs like you.
BuzzFeed asked, why are black people always late? Well, I want to know, why are white people always so late? Slang, dance crazes, you guys hear about shit like years later and then you want to act like it's something brand new.
Maybe because we're more focused on being on time for things like our jobs. Kazing!
Why are white people always renaming things?
Renaming what things?
What are boxer braids?
Boxer braids are a double French braid, which is clearly different than cornrows, which I'm pretty sure you're trying to imply that white people, I guess, decided to take and call them boxer braids. So, yeah, they're not the same thing. Stop reading Jezebel.
Why do white people insist that culture belongs to everyone? Culture is literally defined as the beliefs, customs, arts, etc. of a particular society, group, place, or time. It's a particular society that has its own beliefs and ways of life, a particular society, not the general public. To say that a specific culture belongs to everyone literally undermines what culture is.
Cultures are not distinct objects with borders, nor can you put a patent on them. Cultures can have a diverse set of members, and elements from those cultures can be shared, disseminated, dropped off, abandoned, and change over time. So to say that only one specific group of people at any given time have some kind of monopoly over a particular culture just goes to show that you don't really understand what culture is.
Why do white people love doing indie covers of rap songs? What's that about? And why will said indie covers then get played on radio stations and in shops that would never play rap music?
Maybe because those white people like rap? I don't know. And I've never heard of rap music anywhere except on rap stations, so citation needed.
Why don't white people understand that saying all lives matter as a response to Black Lives Matter is redundant? All means every life, including black ones.
Because all lives include all lives, whether they're white, black, Mexican, Asian, indigenous, Native American, everybody. Black Lives Matter just means black lives. And at the same time, Black Lives Matter is also a movement that's also a hateful ideology. So when people say all lives matter, they say all lives really do matter, and they don't want to be associated with Black lives.
Seriously, why do white people want to use the N word?
Because you touch yourself at night.
Why do white people like to pretend that slavery wasn't so bad? They had food and shelter. They were also, enslaved.
The only people I've ever heard say that are people from the South, so maybe ask them.
Why is getting approved for small business loans considered to be a white people thing?
That's because it's not. You could get a loan too, as long as you have the right credit.
Why do white people move into neighborhoods and assume their way is the best way and then kick everyone else out? Why,
Because we have all the guns and the money. Seriously though, citation needed.
why are white people stopped at a rate of 5 times less than black people despite having a higher chance of being found with contraband like drugs or weapons on them?
Maybe because the criminal rate of African Americans is 3 times higher than the national average.
Why does white America do the crime yet black America do the time?
What on earth do you mean by that? Do you mean like white people blaming black people or accusing black people falsely of certain crimes? If that's the case, then you need to show some kind of evidence that this sort of thing is happening in disproportionate numbers towards black people.
Why do white people love to say that race doesn't matter when you made up the concept of race and race based chattel slavery?
Nobody alive today invented the concept of racism or slavery based on race. That was invented hundreds of years ago. We all inherited it. So when somebody says that they don't see race, they pretty much say that they don't really care what your race is. In my instance, I certainly see race. I can understand, that people from different races might have different backgrounds than I might have. But at the same time, it doesn't have any bearing as to whether they're a good person or not. So I see race, but I just don't give a shit.
And the last question, why is whitewashing still a thing? Scarlett Johansson.
Because Hollywood studios put big name actors in their movies without any real regard to what the characters may have or may not look like. It's about money, not racism.
This has been 27 questions that black people have for white people.
Well, thank God, because that was the biggest bunch of belittling and loaded questions that I've seen in quite a long time. It kind of sounds almost like you're racist against white people. And yes, anybody can be racist. And we all know who you are, Sensei. For the rest of you, if you liked this video, please like and maybe subscribe, and I'll make some more. I'm just starting out, so hopefully it'll turn into something really fun. Thanks, and see ya.